What's up, dudes? Welcome back to Rennch. Today we're going to do a little bit of a Blasphemy build update and keep you posted on what's happening with the car in the next couple months. Behind me is a 1969 Porsche 911S. I've spent the last 3 years doing the body work on this car to make it into what you see here. It is powered by a twin-turbo Subaru EZ30R flat 6 engine, which hasn't run yet. Now, I had this crazy push to get the car to SEMA 2022, which I did, which you guys might have seen in the last video. And then I needed a minute. I needed to take a little bit of time off of this car just to get my breath and figure out what the next phase was. And the next phase is obviously getting the engine running, which is what I'm going to be focusing my energy on for the next few shows. Before I do that, I want to catch you up on where the car is, what I've done, and where we're going to go from here. Before I do that, we're going to have a quick little word from our sponsor. Guys, buying a used car these days, pretty gnarly. You meet some rando on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and agree to meet either at your house or in some random parking lot, and you're expected to look at this car. You don't really know the history of it. You don't really know the mechanical history of it. You have no idea if that person you're talking to is the actual person that they say they are. You don't know if the money they give you, if it's like a cashier's check or a bank check, is fake. You have no way to verify any of this information, and it is really sketchy. That's where Private Auto comes in. Look at how Private Auto is going to change how we buy and sell cars in the future. Gang, Private Auto is the easiest way to buy or sell a car privately. If you're selling a car, you can easily add a vehicle to their listing site. You can set security preferences to help filter out unwanted interactions. If you want, you can choose to only communicate with verified users. Anyone who's been verified with Private Auto has been screened using driver's license verification with facial recognition technology. As a buyer, you can easily schedule a test drive and make an offer. Even better, with their fancy chat feature, you can safely communicate without using your personal contact information. Completing a transaction is easier than ever with Private Auto. Each step of the deal gives you escrow-like safeguards without relying on a third party. First, both parties can verify and approve information such as the sale price and odometer reading. Next, both parties can easily sign and approve the electronic bill of sale. Finally, transfer payment instantly and securely using Private Auto. What could possibly be easier? So that's Private Auto. For you guys, for my viewers, they're giving 40% off any listing fees if you want to sell your car. I've got a link in the description below because they are my first sponsor of the channel. I would love if you would click on that link, download the app, check it out. It'll make me look good to the higher ups over at Private Auto. But more than that, you can get a killer app to buy and sell your car. Now, on with the show. Okay, working back to front. I want to show you where we are and what we've done with the car. First and foremost, these lovely twin turbos. These are twin Garretts. And they're on there. They're not exactly where they're going to be. I'm probably going to push them out a little bit further. I've got a couple of tweaks to do, and certainly in the next year or so, we'll probably end up getting into some kind of crazy titanium or something like that. But first, I just want to see if everything works, so they are going to exist as they are. This is the little active arrow tail that is currently being held on by painter's tape, which is barely holding on, so I'm going to take that off right now. I have a carbon fiber version of that that my good buddy Builder Creator did. He did this beautiful air scoop, and he did the tail, but I couldn't use it. The way it was fit, it didn't actually work with the deck lid, unfortunately. So I have to, I'm actually probably going to redesign the entire deck lid. I'm probably going to 3D scan the entire thing and then integrate this air scoop into it. But that is a project further down the road. Let's pop this thing open right quick. So here's the motor, obviously without the intake on it, which is sitting over there. This is a Subaru EZ30R. It's a flat 6 engine. and it is a huge upgrade, really, from a basic Porsche SC engine. I've got the current engine wiring harness still on the car, and that needs to be integrated with the Haltech harness. I've got a Haltech 2500 that's going to go into managing this entire mess. And I've got a buddy from Ingenuity Official who's doing a time attack Honda CRX mid-engined craziness. I will link that up in the description here. With a Subaru. And so he's actually going to come out here from Philly and help me fire this thing up in January, which I'm super stoked about. So that is what's happening in this little world. Let's move on. You'll notice I've got no rotors in the rear, and I've got kind of these old school funky brakes in the front. Those all need to be replaced with the fancy versions, which will be coming from England. Also, the shocks are literally what came with this car when I got it a few years ago. And what I'd like to do is in the next year or so, connect with a company that is doing some electronic shocks where I can do like sport, I can do comfort, I can do sport plus, maybe even raise and lower the suspension electronically. That all sounds really cool for this kind of build. The wheels are sort of in between right now. So I can actually use the wheels I was going to use, and then they got delayed, which I may just have just for rollers, or I might love them when they come in. So I'll surprise you guys with what those things are when the time comes. But I've got a really cool wheel idea planned for this car. But the interior, if you could only smell it, this is Italian leather. These seats from Sparco are amazing. That being said, I'm not going to keep them. They're a little bit too wide in the shoulders. So if anybody wants to buy a really pair of badass leather, Italian leather seats with Alcantara suede, I will have the original suede that I'm going to put back here. So it'll all be the gray. And they're literally brand new. They've never been sat in other than just pulling the car in and out. The interior as a whole will look radically different when this thing is ready for SEMA next year. I basically put whatever I could in here just to make it have an interior. These are Rennline door panels, obviously with nothing in them. I've got no shifter in there. I've got a Rennline dash panel that I had to heavily modify. This will probably stay, but it may be covered. There might be gauges, there might be video screens. I'm not sure what's going to happen in there. This dashboard came from TRE Motorsports. I think it's like $500, and it's a fantastic reproduction of a dash. So if you need a dash for your car, it's not super expensive, and the thing looks really good in place. Let me shoot to the other side. The gauges are something I'm really excited about. So I've got video screens coming. I've got a 5-inch circular and 2 4-inch squares that I'm going to connect via a Raspberry Pi to a CAN bus card in the Raspberry Pi to connect to the Haltech. So my hope is, and I have no idea if this is going to work, but my hope is I will design some gauges so it looks like they are regular gauges, just like this, but they will be digital. And that way I can put like boost and boost control. I can maybe switch it over to a video feed when I want to do like my rear view mirrors, which I'll tell you about in a second. So it's got a lot of really cool potential for still looking vintage, but being fully digitized as well. This is a 911 House steering wheel, which has a very Momo Prototipo vibe to it. It's got a great feel. I want to say it's 350 millimeters. If you want to be a little bit different and have a slightly different steering wheel, it's a little thicker actually than the Prototipo as well, but it feels really, really good in your hand. So if you're interested in a new steering wheel, 911.haus, I believe, is the Instagram account. So go check him out as well. The mirrors, which are going to come from Achtung are these beautiful like bullet mirrors. But what I'm going to do, I'll probably surprise you guys a little bit, but I'm going to integrate video cameras into the side view mirrors, much like I'm doing with the rear view mirror, which I'll show you now. So this is a 4K video screen by a company called Vantrue, Vantrue. And it's meant to clip on the outside of a existing mirror. I've decided to glue on a mirror mount to it so it can be its own mirror by itself. And it's got a 4K camera on the front of it. On the back, I've got this little dude, which is, I think it's a 1080p camera. But what I've done is, as part of the build, I've put a little hole right here in the rear bumper for that camera to mount, so I can have sort of a secret little backup cam and or wide angle cam in the back. And I'm actually not going to wire it to my reverse switch. I'm going to toggle it. I'm going to have a little toggle for it. So you just flip the thing on and then you can see the entire behind of your car, which I think would be really dope, especially if you're ripping in the canyons and you want this, like you got somebody just right up on your tail and you guys are doing a little follow the leader. It's going to make for a really cool video. Incidentally, rear tail lights. You guys have probably seen these. The lights, the housings were 3D printed by Ray's 3D. The lights themselves and the concept is from Lauren Teal. And then I used Send Cut Send to get some metal laser cut that I could integrate into the body. And that's how it turned out. It's like my favorite part of the car so far. The problem is with my little Van True mirror is I cannot get the thing to fire up. They sent this to me. I didn't do anything to it other than to do this little modification here to the back, but I can't get the thing to power on, and I do not know why. So if anybody knows why, I've held down this power button. I've tried like multiple different charging cables. I have the one that came with it. I've got one that I bought from Amazon, and I just can't seem to get the thing to fire, which is such a bummer. A fuel-safe fuel cell. The question mark of this is that the bladder has never been changed. It's also never been used. So it's not like it's got old gas sitting in there. It's literally never had anything. It was brand new 20-something years ago. So my friend Veronica was here during that week of the Hell Week of getting it to SEMA. So she polished it all up. Looks great. Replaced all the hardware with this new, like, lovely bullet hardware. And it just looks very much more modern now than it did before. It looks really good. The question is, will it hold? I think it will, but I don't know how things degrade. It's been, since something like 1994 when the thing was purchased. So we will soon find out. One thing you don't see in here yet, two things. Number one is my air conditioning system from Classic Retrofit is not here yet. It will be. And two, I don't have any brake or clutch reservoirs. So I have to fabricate something up so that I have reservoirs for the clutch hydraulic fluid and the brake hydraulic fluid somewhere in here. I don't know where yet. Haven't figured that out. Those with an eagle eye will have spotted these brand new pieces of kit. These are Rennline's new early 911 hood hinges. These things are killer. They have micro adjustment everywhere you want. They go this way, up and down. They go this way. You still have the original adjustment down here that flexes back and forth and changes the angle of the hood. So you can get, I don't have it yet, but like I haven't done my full hood fitment yet on this thing. So it doesn't actually fit all that great, but it will. But it will. I'll have to raise the thing up and do some tweaking and twiddling to make the thing work, but it is now very easy now that I have these new hinges. Pro tip, I've got the Rennline locking hood, which is you just raise the thing up and it turns a little bit and locks it in place on one side, and then the other side I have a standard normal hydraulic hood lift, and it makes for a beautiful, like really nice, light up and down with a stock hood. So if you guys decide to get one of these things, you can get them both, and you have to like physically raise the hood, and it's a little rough, or you can do what I did and do one in one, and it's great. These are the 911 headlights. I think they're the Phoenix is what they're called. You guys saw me like ogle over these in the last video, but I can't get enough of this. You flick the thing on, and it's just like, that's so badass. You get these beautiful quads. And one more, and you've got, the full, one more, and you've got the full, bam, that's brights. And then that's the regular light as you drive. We also integrated the turn signals into this. So I put some carbon fiber wrap on the OEM turn signal lenses, and that's how it turned out. I think it looks super cool. And then finally, we have this crazy chaos. This is the Haltech harness. This whole thing has to be integrated into that car back there. And I got a bunch of stuff here. I got some Deutsch fasteners if we need it. My buddy from Ingenuity thinks it's not going to be that hard. Your mileage may vary, but we'll see. I'm not nearly as optimistic about it because I've never done it before, but yeah, this thing looks chaotic. Honestly, though, like, I don't know if you guys have been following, but Mighty Car Mods is actually doing this exact engine right now in Marty's car. So I watched a couple things and it made a couple things like, all right, there's really just like, there's like 4 main sensors. It's like a cam sensor and it's basically got like a VTEC on that engine. And then you've got just a couple of other sensors. You got a crank position sensor and things like that. And then you've got, you know, coils and plugs. So it's not like the most complicated thing in the world. I do have a flex fuel sensor because I'm going to be running E85 in this car. I haven't gone into the engine yet. That doesn't mean I won't. It just means that I haven't. So the idea is, let me get the thing fired up like in its mostly stock form. And then if there's some cool Subaru company that's like, hey, you know, send us that engine, we'll deck it out. We'll put some, you know, pistons in and some rods and make it so you can run like 700 horsepower. Let's have that conversation if you guys know of any companies. Let me show you this really quick. These are the Garrett wastegates, which will also go on. I don't know where yet, but they're so incredibly badass. Imagine having this like ridiculous kind of quad exhaust thing happening here. So I don't know where they're going to go or how they're going to go, but we will integrate these things somewhere into this car as well, which is really super exciting. And that's about it for now. Like, you know, I've just got a bunch of stuff to stick in here. I've got some Outfront Motorsports fuel rails. They're going to have to go on. I don't have injectors yet, so I can use the stock rail for now. I've got the Elite 2500, like I told you. And a bunch of other odds and ends. I do need to get the cooling system figured out. So this is the oil tank that I've converted, hopefully, into a reservoir, a coolant reservoir. I still have to finish a bunch of welding on it, and I've got to test it and make sure it works and like can actually hold liquid without bursting or whatever. I've got to put a bung on it as well so I can get the coolant in and out. So that'll be a thing. So I got a bunch of little projects coming up. And glad you're here, as always, for it, to check out what we're doing here to the Blasphemy build. But the initial plan right now is that this thing is going to be making choo-choo sounds January 2023. You ready? I'm ready. Can't wait to hear this friggin' thing. Okay, that's it for now, you guys. Happy holidays to you. I'll see you next time.